In a small town surrounded by lush green fields and quiet streets, there lived a young girl named Maya. She was 13 years old, with bright brown eyes that sparkled like stars, and a smile so warm it could melt even the coldest hearts. Maya loved life. She loved reading books under the shade of tall trees, sketching pictures of animals in her notebook, and dreaming about traveling to faraway places one day. But Maya's life wasn't without its challenges. From birth, she had been diagnosed with a physical disability that made walking difficult for her. Instead of letting this define her, though, Maya embraced her wheelchair as part of who she was, a symbol of her strength and determination. Every morning, Maya would wake up early, tie her curly hair into a neat ponytail, and wheel herself to school. The journey wasn't always easy. Sometimes the roads were bumpy, or people stared at her as if she were different from everyone else. But Maya never let those moments bring her down. She knew deep inside that being different didn't mean being less worthy. At school, most kids treated her kindly. Her teachers admired her sharp mind and positive attitude, often praising her for participating actively in class discussions. However, not everyone shared the same kindness toward her. Among the students were two boys named Jake and Riley. They weren't exactly popular, but they certainly made themselves known through their cruel behavior. Jake was tall and lanky, with shaggy blonde hair that fell over his forehead. He liked to think he was funny, but his jokes usually ended up hurting someone's feelings. Riley, on the other hand, was shorter and stockier, with a permanent scowl etched onto his face. Together, they formed a duo that thrived on making others feel small, and unfortunately for Maya, they had recently decided to make her their target. It all started during lunch break one day. Maya was sitting under a tree outside the school cafeteria, quietly flipping through the pages of her favorite book. The sun filtered through the leaves, casting playful shadows on the ground. She felt peaceful, lost in the world of stories. Suddenly, she heard footsteps approaching. Looking up, she saw Jake and Riley standing before her, grinning mischievously. "Hey, cripple," Jake said loudly, drawing attention from nearby students. "Why don't you get up and run around like normal kids?" His tone was mocking, dripping with disdain. A few kids giggled nervously, unsure whether to laugh along or stay silent. Maya simply closed her book and looked at him calmly. She had encountered bullies before and learned long ago not to give them the satisfaction of seeing her upset. "I'm perfectly fine right here, thanks," Maya replied, her voice steady despite the knot forming in her stomach. She tried to ignore them and reopen her book, hoping they would grow bored and leave. But Jake wasn't done yet. He leaned closer, snatching the book out of her hands. "What are you reading? Some sad story about how hard your life is?" sneered, waving the book above her head where she couldn't reach it. Maya clenched her fists tightly, her heart pounding. She hated feeling helpless, but she refused to beg or cry. Instead, she locked eyes with Jake and said firmly, "Give it back now." For a moment, Jake hesitated, caught off guard by her boldness. Then, with a smirk, he tossed the book onto the grass behind him. "Oops," he said sarcastically. "Guess you'll have to crawl over there to get it?" Riley laughed loudly, clearly enjoying the spectacle. Other students began to gather around, forming a loose circle. Some watched with wide eyes, while others whispered among themselves. No one stepped forward to help Maya, not because they didn't care, but because Jake and Riley had a reputation for turning their anger on anyone who dared cross them. So, the crowd stood frozen, torn between fear and guilt. Determined not to let them win, Maya took a deep breath and reached for the controls of her wheelchair. Slowly, she maneuvered herself toward the fallen book, ignoring the taunts coming from Jake and Riley. As she bent down to pick it up, however, Jake kicked the book further away. This time, his laughter echoed louder, joined by Riley's. "You're pathetic," Jake shouted, his words cutting through the air like knives. Tears pricked at the corners of Maya's eyes, but she blinked them away fiercely. Crying wouldn't solve anything, she reminded herself. She needed to stay strong. Just then, something unexpected happened. One of Maya's classmates, a shy girl named Sarah, stepped forward from the crowd. Holding her backpack tightly against her chest, She glanced nervously at Jake and Riley before speaking. "Leave her alone," Sarah said softly, her voice trembling slightly. "She didn't do anything to you." Jake turned his glare toward Sarah, his expression darkening. "Mind your own business," he snapped. But Sarah didn't back down. Encouraged by her bravery, another student spoke up. "Yeah, stop picking on her." Soon more voices joined in, creating a chorus of disapproval directed at Jake and Riley. The bullies exchanged uneasy glances, realizing they were losing control of the situation. Frustrated and embarrassed, Jake muttered something under his breath and stormed off with Riley trailing closely behind him. The tension in the air dissolved almost instantly, replaced by murmurs of relief. Sarah approached Maya cautiously, handing her the book. "Are you okay?" she asked gently. Maya nodded, managing a small smile despite everything. "Thank you," she said sincerely. Though the confrontation had left her shaken, she felt a newfound sense of hope. Maybe not everyone was afraid to stand up for what was right after all. That evening, as Maya sat in her room writing in her journal, she reflected on the day's events. She wrote about the fear she had felt when Jake and Riley cornered her, the frustration of being powerless, and the gratitude she felt when Sarah and the others finally spoke up. Writing helped her process her emotions, turning painful experiences into lessons she could carry forward. Little did Maya know, this incident was just the beginning of a much larger journey, one that would test her strength, resilience, and ability to inspire change. Over the coming weeks, Jake and Riley continued to harass her whenever they got the chance. Each time, Maya faced them with courage, refusing to let their words break her spirit. And slowly but surely, she began to notice a shift, not just in herself, but in the people around her too. The bullying hadn't stopped, but something remarkable was happening. More students were starting to speak out against Jake and Riley's behavior. Teachers became more vigilant, addressing instances of harassment promptly and firmly. Even some parents joined the conversation, organizing meetings to discuss ways to create a safer environment for all children. What started as an isolated act of cruelty was sparking a wave of awareness and action throughout the community. For Maya, these changes gave her a renewed sense of purpose. She realized that her struggles weren't just personal battles. They were opportunities to shine a light on issues affecting countless others. Inspired by the support she received, she decided to channel her experiences into something meaningful. With encouragement from her family and friends, Maya began working on creative projects aimed at promoting inclusivity and empathy. She started a blog where she shared stories, poems, and artwork inspired by her journey. To her surprise, her posts gained traction online, resonating with readers from all walks of life. As months went by, Maya's confidence grew. She no longer saw herself as a victim of circumstances, but as a warrior fighting for justice and equality. Her story served as a reminder that even in the darkest moments, there is power in standing up for oneself and in inspiring others to do the same. The next day at school, Maya woke up with a mix of emotions swirling inside her. She was still shaken from the previous day's encounter with Jake and Riley, but she also felt a flicker of hope. The way Sarah and other students had stood up for her gave her strength she didn't know she had until now. Still, she couldn't shake off the feeling that Jake and Riley weren't done tormenting her. They thrived on making others feel small, and Maya knew they wouldn't let go so easily. As she wheeled herself toward the school gates, Maya noticed a group of kids whispering near the entrance. When they saw her approaching, some of them quickly looked away while others offered hesitant smiles. It was clear that word about yesterday's incident had spread, and people were unsure how to act around her. Maya didn't blame them. Standing up to bullies wasn't easy, especially when you didn't want to become their next target. But she appreciated the effort nonetheless. Even small gestures of kindness meant a lot to her. Inside the classroom, things seemed quieter than usual. Jake and Riley sat in the back row, glaring at anyone who dared glance in their direction. Their smug expressions from the day before were replaced by sullen scowls, but Maya could tell they were simmering with anger. She tried to focus on the lesson, jotting down notes as her teacher explained a new concept. However, every time she heard footsteps behind her or rustling papers nearby, her heart skipped a beat. She couldn't help but wonder if Jake and Riley were planning something worse. During recess, Maya decided to stay indoors instead of heading outside. She found a quiet corner in the library where she could read in peace without worrying about running into trouble. As she flipped through the pages of her book, she reminded herself that fear shouldn't control her life. "You're stronger than this," she whispered softly to herself. But no matter how hard she tried to concentrate, her mind kept drifting back to Jake and Riley. What would they do next? How far would they go? Her question was answered sooner than she expected. Just as the bell rang, signaling the end of recess, Maya exited the library and headed toward her next class. Halfway down the hallway, she spotted Jake and Riley leaning against the lockers blocking her path. Their faces lit up with cruel grins when they saw her coming. Maya slowed down, gripping the wheels of her chair tightly. Her palms grew sweaty, but she forced herself to keep moving forward. She wouldn't give them the satisfaction of seeing her retreat. Well, look who we have here," Jake said mockingly, stepping closer. "Decided to show your face after yesterday's little show?" Riley laughed beside him, crossing his arms over his chest. "Yeah, maybe she thinks she's tough now that people are sticking up for her," he added, rolling his eyes dramatically. Maya took a deep breath, trying to steady her nerves. "I'm not looking for trouble," she replied calmly, meeting their stares head-on. "Just leave me alone, okay?" "Oh, we're shaking in our boots," Jake sneered, pretending to tremble. Then, without warning, he leaned down and grabbed the handles of Maya's wheelchair. Before she could react, he began pushing her forcefully down the hallway. Students passing by stopped in their tracks, watching in stunned silence. Some looked horrified, while others seemed frozen with indecision. No one dared intervene. Maya's heart raced as she gripped the armrests of her chair, holding on for dear life. The sudden movement jolted her body painfully, but she refused to cry out. Instead, she focused on staying calm and thinking of a way to escape. She remembered something her dad had once told her. When someone tries to push you around, find a way to push back, not with violence, but with cleverness. Those words echoed in her mind, giving her an idea. Reaching into the side pocket of her wheelchair, Maya pulled out a small object, a whistle designed for self-defense. It was compact and unassuming, but it packed a punch. Without hesitation, she raised it to her lips and blew as hard as she could. A sharp ear-piercing sound erupted, reverberating through the hallway like an alarm. Everyone within earshot winced, covering their ears instinctively. Even Jake and Riley stumbled backward, dropping Maya's wheelchair in surprise. "What the?" Jake exclaimed, clutching his head as the noise overwhelmed him. Riley cursed under his breath, stumbling away from the scene. For a moment, chaos reigned. Students shouted and scattered, unsure what to do. Teachers rushed out of their classrooms, alarmed by the commotion. One of them, Mrs. Carter, spotted Maya sitting upright in her wheelchair, clutching the whistle tightly in her hand. "Maya, are you all right?" Mrs. Carter asked urgently, kneeling beside her. Maya nodded, her breathing still ragged but controlled. They pushed me," she managed to say, pointing toward Jake and Riley, who were now cowering against the wall, hands pressed firmly over their ears. By now, several staff members had arrived, separating the three students and calling for backup. Word of the incident quickly reached the principal's office. Within minutes, Jake and Riley were escorted to the administration building, their faces flushed with embarrassment and shame. Meanwhile, Maya was taken to the nurse's office to ensure she hadn't been injured during the ordeal. Though physically unharmed, she felt emotionally drained. The adrenaline rush was fading, leaving her exhausted yet strangely relieved. She had stood her ground, and this time, she hadn't been alone. Later that afternoon, Maya's parents were called to the school for a meeting with the principal. The atmosphere in the office was tense but respectful. Both sides, the school administration and Maya's family, agreed that the bullying needed to stop immediately. Consequences were discussed, including suspensions for Jake and Riley and mandatory counseling sessions to address their behavior. Maya listened quietly, her expression calm and composed. When asked if she wanted to press charges or take legal action, she shook her head gently. "They need to learn, not just be punished," she said firmly. "Maybe if they understand why what they did was wrong, they'll change." Her maturity surprised even the adults in the room. Her parents exchanged proud glances, knowing their daughter had grown into someone truly remarkable. Back home that evening, Maya reflected on everything that had happened. She wrote about it in her journal, pouring her thoughts onto the page. Writing helped her process her feelings and make sense of the whirlwind of events. She described the fear she felt when Jake shoved her wheelchair, the relief when the whistle worked, and the pride she felt afterward for standing up for herself. She also expressed gratitude for the support she received from Sarah, the bystanders who spoke up, and her teachers who acted swiftly. But Maya's story wasn't over yet. In fact, it was only beginning. Over the following weeks, news of the incident spread throughout the community. Parents talked about it at dinner tables, teachers addressed it in classrooms, and students debated it in hallways. Many admired Maya's bravery, while others criticized Jake and Riley for their actions. Slowly but surely, a shift began to occur. Conversations about bullying, empathy, and inclusion became more frequent, sparking a wave of awareness and change. Inspired by Maya's courage, a group of students decided to form an anti-bullying committee. They organized workshops, created posters promoting kindness, and hosted assemblies featuring guest speakers who shared their own stories of overcoming adversity. Maya joined the committee enthusiastically, using her voice to inspire others. She spoke openly about her experiences, encouraging students to stand up for themselves and each other. Her words resonated deeply, leaving a lasting impact on everyone who heard them. One particularly memorable event took place during a school assembly. Standing at the podium, Maya held the microphone with both hands, her voice steady and clear. "Being different doesn't make you weak," she told the audience. "It makes you unique. And uniqueness is something worth celebrating, not tearing down." The entire auditorium erupted in applause, with many students rising to their feet. Tears welled up in Maya's eyes, not because of sadness but because of joy. For the first time, she felt truly seen and heard. Outside of school, Maya continued to pursue her passions. She spent hours sketching pictures of animals, losing herself in the creative process. She wrote poetry inspired by her journey, capturing moments of pain, resilience, and triumph in vivid detail. One poem titled "Wheels Don't Define Me" gained recognition at a local youth festival. When she recited it on stage, the audience was moved to tears. Critics praised her work, calling it powerful and inspiring. Through art, Maya found another way to connect with people and share her story. Despite all the attention, Maya remained humble. She never sought fame or recognition. She simply wanted to create a better world, one where no one had to endure the pain she had faced. Her efforts didn't go unnoticed. Teachers, parents, and even strangers began reaching out to thank her for her advocacy. Some shared their own struggles with bullying, expressing how Maya's courage had given them hope. Others promised to do their part in making their communities safer and more inclusive. By the end of the school year, Maya's influence had extended far beyond her town. News outlets picked up her story, highlighting her resilience and determination. Social media platforms buzzed with hashtags like "Be Like Maya" and "Stand Up to Bullying," spreading her message to thousands of people worldwide. Celebrities and activists chimed in, praising her for turning adversity into opportunity. The weeks following the hallway incident marked a turning point, not just for Maya, but for the entire school. Jake and Riley's suspension sent shockwaves through the student body. For some, it was a wake-up call. For others, it sparked heated debates about fairness and accountability. While many students agreed that bullying should never be tolerated, a few argued that suspending Jake and Riley was too harsh. "They're just kids," one boy muttered during lunch. "Everyone makes mistakes." But Maya knew better than anyone that their actions weren't harmless pranks. They were calculated attempts to hurt her physically and emotionally. Despite the mixed reactions, Maya felt a growing sense of empowerment. She realized that standing up to Jake and Riley wasn't just about protecting herself. It was about setting an example. Her courage inspired others to speak out against injustice, creating ripples of change throughout the community. The anti-bullying committee she joined became a hub of activity, with students brainstorming ideas to promote kindness and inclusivity. Posters with slogans like, "Be kind, stay strong," adorned the hallways, while workshops taught students how to recognize and address bullying behavior. Slowly but surely, the culture of fear that Jake and Riley had thrived on began to crumble. But Maya's journey wasn't without its challenges. Even after Jake and Riley returned from their suspension, tensions lingered. Though they kept their distance from Maya, their resentment simmered beneath the surface. Occasionally, Maya would catch them glaring at her in the cafeteria, or whispering to each other when she passed by. It was clear they hadn't learned their lesson, at least not yet. Still, Maya refused to let their lingering hostility affect her. Instead, she focused on what truly mattered, building connections with those who supported her. One person who stood firmly by Maya's side was Sarah, the shy girl who had spoken up during the first bullying incident. Over time, Sarah and Maya grew closer, bonding over shared experiences and mutual respect. Sarah often walked Maya to class, shielding her from any potential troublemakers. In return, Maya encouraged Sarah to step out of her comfort zone, helping her gain confidence in social situations. Together, they became an unstoppable duo, a testament to the power of friendship forged in adversity. Their bond deepened further when Sarah revealed a secret she had been carrying for years. One afternoon, as they sat under the same tree where Maya had once faced Jake and Riley, Sarah hesitated before speaking. "I know what it feels like to be bullied," she admitted softly, picking at the grass with her fingers. "When I was younger, kids used to tease me because I was overweight. I hated going to school every day." Maya listened intently, her heart aching for her friend. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" she asked gently. "I guess I thought no one would understand," Sarah replied, shrugging. "But seeing how brave you were, it made me realize I don't have to hide anymore." That conversation marked the beginning of a deeper level of trust between the two girls. They vowed to support each other no matter what, promising to face life's challenges together. Their friendship became a beacon of hope for others, proving that solidarity could overcome even the darkest moments. Meanwhile, Maya continued to channel her energy into creative projects that celebrated diversity and resilience. She expanded her blog, sharing stories not only about her own experiences but also highlighting the journeys of others who had faced similar struggles. One post featured an interview with a local artist who painted murals advocating for disability rights. Another showcased a poem written by a high schooler who had battled anxiety and depression. Each story resonated deeply with readers, reminding them that they weren't alone in their battles. Maya's efforts caught the attention of her English teacher, Mrs. Patel, who encouraged her to submit her work to a regional youth writing competition. At first, Maya hesitated. What if no one likes it? She wondered aloud. But Mrs. Patel reassured her, saying, "Your words have the power to inspire change. Don't let self-doubt hold you back." With newfound determination, Maya polished her entries and submitted them just before the deadline. Weeks later, she received an email notifying her that she had won second place in the essay category. The news filled her with pride, not because of the award itself, but because her message had reached so many people. When she read her essay aloud at the award ceremony, the audience erupted in applause, moved by her heartfelt words. As spring approached, the school organized its annual talent show, inviting students to showcase their skills. Maya initially planned to sit this one out, unsure if she had anything to contribute. But Sarah convinced her otherwise. "You've got so much creativity inside you," Sarah urged. "Why not share it with everyone?" Inspired by her friend's encouragement, Maya decided to perform a spoken word piece titled, "Wheels Don't Define Me." The night of the talent show, she rolled onto the stage, her wheelchair gliding smoothly across the spotlight. As she began reciting her poem, the room fell silent, all eyes fixed on her. Her voice was steady yet passionate, painting vivid images of struggle, triumph, and hope. By the end of her performance, tears streamed down the faces of teachers, parents, and students alike. The standing ovation that followed was deafening, a testament to the impact of her artistry. The success of the talent show boosted Maya's confidence, opening doors she never imagined possible. Local newspapers interviewed her, praising her advocacy work and artistic talent. Community leaders invited her to speak at events eager to amplify her message of inclusion and acceptance. With each appearance, Maya honed her public speaking skills, learning how to connect with diverse audiences. Her speeches often ended with a call to action. We all have the power to make a difference. Start small. Stand up for someone being bullied. Include someone who feels left out, or simply offer a kind word. Change begins with us. While Maya embraced her role as a changemaker, she remained grounded in her values. She understood that true strength wasn't about seeking recognition. It was about lifting others up and creating opportunities for growth. This philosophy guided her interactions with peers, teachers, and strangers alike. Whether mentoring younger students or volunteering at community centers, Maya poured her heart into everything she did. Her dedication didn't go unnoticed. Teachers began nominating her for leadership awards, citing her commitment to fostering a positive school environment. Parents thanked her for inspiring their children to embrace differences and practice empathy. Even former skeptics acknowledged the transformative effect she had on the school community. What started as a personal battle against bullies had evolved into a movement that touched countless lives. Still, Maya knew there was more work to be done. Bullying wasn't confined to schools. It existed everywhere, affecting people of all ages and backgrounds. Determined to expand her reach, she partnered with local organizations to host workshops and seminars. These events brought together students, educators, and parents, encouraging open dialogue about mental health, disability awareness, and conflict resolution. Maya's presence at these gatherings was magnetic. Her authenticity and vulnerability resonated deeply with participants, leaving a lasting impression long after the sessions ended. One particularly memorable workshop took place at a nearby middle school. As Maya addressed the auditorium full of students, she noticed a young girl sitting in the front row, clutching her backpack tightly. Her eyes were red, as if she had been crying. During the Q&A session, the girl raised her hand timidly. "I'm scared to go to school," she confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. "Kids keep calling me names and I don't know what to do." Maya's heart ached for the girl, recalling her own fears when Jake and Riley targeted her. "I know it's hard," she said gently, locking eyes with the girl. "But remember this. Your worth isn't determined by what others say about you. Surround yourself with people who love and support you, and don't hesitate to ask for help when you need it." The girl nodded, a faint smile appearing on her lips. Afterward, several students approached Maya, thanking her for her advice. Some shared their own stories of bullying, while others expressed gratitude for her courage in speaking out. Maya stayed late into the evening, listening patiently and offering words of encouragement. By the time she left, she felt exhausted, but fulfilled. Every interaction reminded her why she chose this path in the first place. As the school year drew to a close, Maya reflected on how far she had come. From being a target of relentless bullying to becoming a champion for inclusivity and kindness, her transformation was nothing short of remarkable. Yet she knew her journey was far from over. There would always be new challenges to face, new voices to uplift, and new lessons to learn. And Maya was ready to embrace them all. On the last day of school, as she wheeled herself toward the bus stop, Maya paused to take in the scene around her. Students laughed and hugged, saying goodbye to friends they wouldn't see until fall. Teachers waved from the doorway, smiling warmly. For the first time in a long while, Maya felt a profound sense of belonging. She had fought hard to create a world where everyone could feel safe and valued, and though the fight wasn't over, she had laid a strong foundation. As the bus pulled away, Maya leaned back in her seat, closing her eyes. Images of the past year flashed through her mind. The summer after Maya's transformative school year was unlike any other. Instead of spending her days lounging at home or watching TV, she threw herself into community projects and advocacy work. Her reputation as a voice for change had grown beyond the walls of her school, and now local organizations were eager to collaborate with her. One group, called Unity in Action, focused on creating inclusive spaces for people with disabilities. They invited Maya to join their team as a youth ambassador, an opportunity she accepted without hesitation. Maya's role with Unity in Action involved visiting parks, libraries, and recreational centers to assess how accessible they were for individuals with mobility challenges. Armed with a clipboard and a checklist, she inspected ramps, doorways, and elevators, noting areas that needed improvement. It wasn't glamorous work, but Maya found it deeply fulfilling. "If I can help make these places better," she told Sarah one afternoon, "then more people like me will feel welcome." Her efforts didn't stop there. On weekends, Maya organized art workshops for children with disabilities, encouraging them to express themselves through painting, drawing, and storytelling. Many of the kids came from families who rarely ventured outside due to societal stigma or logistical barriers. Seeing their faces light up as they created masterpieces filled Maya with joy. She often reminded them, "Your imagination has no limits, don't let anyone tell you otherwise." One particular workshop stood out in Maya's memory. A shy boy named Ethan attended with his mother, clutching a blank sheet of paper tightly in his hands. When Maya approached him, he looked away nervously. "I'm not good at drawing," he mumbled, his voice barely audible. Maya smiled warmly and knelt beside him. "That's okay," she said. "Art isn't about being perfect, it's about having fun and sharing your feelings." With gentle encouragement, she helped Ethan sketch a picture of his favorite animal, a dolphin leaping over waves. By the end of the session, Ethan was beaming with pride, showing off his artwork to everyone around him. His mother hugged Maya tightly, tears streaming down her face. "Thank you," she whispered. "You've given my son something priceless, confidence." As Maya immersed herself in her advocacy work, she also kept a close eye on Jake and Riley. Though they had returned to school briefly before summer break, rumors circulated that they might transfer to another district due to mounting pressure from teachers and parents. While some students expressed relief, others felt conflicted. "Do you think they'll ever change?" Sarah asked Maya during one of their coffee shop meetups. "I don't know," Maya admitted honestly, "but I hope they realize that their actions have consequences, not just for others, but for themselves too." Her words proved prophetic when, midway through the summer, Jake reached out to her unexpectedly. It started with a hesitant text message. "Hey, can we talk?" Maya stared at her phone screen, unsure how to respond. After discussing it with Sarah and her parents, she agreed to meet him at the park, a neutral location where neither of them would feel cornered. When Maya arrived, Jake was sitting on a bench fidgeting nervously with his shoelaces. He looked different somehow, less cocky, more vulnerable. As Maya wheeled herself closer, he stood up awkwardly, shoving his hands into his pockets. Thanks for coming," he muttered, avoiding her gaze. "What do you want, Jake?" Maya asked bluntly, though her tone wasn't unkind. She wanted answers, not pleasantries. Jake sighed heavily, running a hand through his messy blonde hair. "I guess I just wanted to say, I'm sorry for everything. I didn't mean to hurt you, I was just angry all the time, you know? And taking it out on you made me feel powerful, but really, it just made me feel worse." Maya studied his face carefully, searching for sincerity. She had every right to dismiss his apology, to remind him of the pain he had caused. But instead, she chose compassion. "It takes courage to admit when you're wrong," she said softly. "But saying sorry isn't enough. You need to prove it, with your actions, not just your words." Jake nodded earnestly. "I get that. I've been talking to a counselor, trying to figure things out, and I promise I won't treat anyone like that again. Not you, not anybody." Though Maya couldn't forgive him completely, at least not yet, she appreciated his effort. Over the next few weeks, Jake began volunteering at a local shelter, working alongside Maya during some of her outreach programs. At first, their interactions were strained and awkward, but gradually a fragile truce formed between them. Riley, however, remained distant, refusing to acknowledge his mistakes. Maya hoped that someday he too would find the strength to confront his behavior, but for now she focused on those willing to change. By late August, Maya's schedule was packed with activities. In addition to her advocacy work, she was preparing for the upcoming school year, which promised to be even busier than the last. The anti-bullying committee had expanded significantly, attracting members from neighboring schools. Together, they planned initiatives such as peer mentoring programs, mental health awareness campaigns, and even a documentary project highlighting stories of resilience. Maya was thrilled to see so many young people stepping up to create positive change. One evening, as she sat on her porch watching the sunset, Maya received an email that took her breath away. It was from a national organization dedicated to empowering youth leaders. They had seen her blog posts, read about her workshops, and heard testimonials from people whose lives she had touched. Impressed by her dedication and impact, they wanted to feature her as a guest speaker at their annual conference in Washington, D.C. Maya's heart raced as she read the invitation again and again. This was bigger than anything she had ever done before, a chance to share her story with thousands of people across the country. But with excitement came doubt. Could she handle the pressure? Would her message resonate with such a large audience? Her family and friends quickly dispelled her fears. "You've already inspired so many people," her mom said proudly. "This is just another step in your journey." Sarah chimed in, "And hey, if you get nervous, just imagine everyone wearing clown noses." With renewed confidence, Maya accepted the offer. Over the next few weeks, she prepared tirelessly for the event, practicing her speech and gathering visual aids to enhance her presentation. She decided to focus on 3 key themes: resilience, empathy, and action. Resilience is about bouncing back from adversity, she explained during one rehearsal. Empathy is understanding what others are going through, and action means using your voice and skills to make a difference. Together, they form the foundation of real change. Finally, the day of the conference arrived. Nervous but determined, Maya boarded a plane for the first time in her life, accompanied by her parents. As they landed in D.C., she marveled at the bustling cityscape, feeling both intimidated and exhilarated. The conference venue was massive, filled with hundreds of attendees ranging from teenagers to seasoned activists. When Maya's name was announced, she rolled onto the stage, greeted by thunderous applause. For 15 minutes, Maya captivated the audience with her story. She spoke candidly about the bullying she endured, the moments of fear and doubt, and the victories she celebrated along the way. She emphasized the importance of kindness, urging listeners to stand up for those who couldn't stand up for themselves. By the time she finished, the room erupted in cheers, many people rising to their feet in admiration. Afterward, dozens of attendees lined up to speak with her, sharing their own experiences and thanking her for her courage. A teenage girl with crutches introduced herself, saying, "Your story gave me hope. I thought I was alone, but now I know there are people fighting for me." An elderly man shook her hand, tears in his eyes. "My grandson is bullied at school," he said. "I'm going to show him your speech and tell him he's stronger than he thinks." The conference marked a pivotal moment in Maya's life. Returning home, she felt invigorated, ready to tackle whatever challenges lay ahead. She knew that her fight against bullying and inequality wouldn't end anytime soon, but she also knew she wasn't alone. Countless allies stood beside her, united by a shared vision of a kinder, more inclusive world. As summer faded into autumn, Maya reflected on everything she had accomplished. From standing up to bullies to inspiring thousands at a national conference, her journey had been nothing short of extraordinary. Yet, she remained humble, recognizing that true change required continuous effort. With each new day, Maya embraced opportunities to learn, grow, and uplift others. Her story served as a reminder that even in the face of adversity, one person's courage could spark a movement, and that movement could transform lives. The fall semester began with a flurry of activity, and Maya quickly found herself at the center of it all. Her newfound fame as a national speaker brought both opportunities and challenges. Teachers praised her for her achievements, while some students regarded her with admiration and occasionally envy. Despite the attention, Maya remained focused on her mission to create a safer, more inclusive environment for everyone. But she soon realized that being a role model came with its own set of responsibilities. One of the first hurdles Maya faced was balancing her advocacy work with her schoolwork. Between planning anti-bullying initiatives, attending committee meetings, and mentoring younger students, she often stayed up late finishing assignments. There were days when exhaustion threatened to overwhelm her, but she reminded herself why she was doing this. "It's not just about me," she told Sarah during one particularly stressful week. "If I can help even one person feel less alone, it's worth it." Her commitment didn't go unnoticed. The principal announced that Maya had been nominated for a prestigious statewide leadership award, an honor reserved for students who demonstrated exceptional character and community impact. While flattered, Maya couldn't help but feel uneasy. She worried that accepting accolades might shift the focus away from the cause itself. Still, she decided to view it as an opportunity to amplify her message rather than diminish it. As part of the nomination process, Maya was required to submit an essay detailing her experiences and aspirations. Sitting at her desk one evening, she stared at the blank page, unsure where to begin. How could she condense years of struggle, growth, and triumph into a few paragraphs? After several drafts, she settled on a simple yet powerful theme. Change starts small. She wrote about the moments that shaped her journey, the bullies in the hallway, the whistle that changed everything, the friendships that gave her strength, and the countless individuals who inspired her along the way. When she submitted the essay, she felt a sense of peace, knowing she had poured her heart into every word. Meanwhile, the Anti-Bullying Committee launched its most ambitious project yet, a documentary titled Voices Unheard. The film aimed to highlight stories of resilience from students across the district, showcasing their unique struggles and victories. Maya played a key role in the production, conducting interviews and helping edit footage. One interviewee stood out, a high school senior named Marcus who had battled severe anxiety after enduring years of cyberbullying. His story resonated deeply with Maya, reminding her of the invisible wounds that often went unacknowledged. Filming. The documentary wasn't without its difficulties. Technical glitches, scheduling conflicts, and creative disagreements tested the team's patience. But Maya's unwavering optimism kept everyone motivated. "We're telling important stories," she reminded them during a tense editing session. "Let's make sure we do them justice." When the documentary premiered at a local theater, the turnout exceeded expectations. Parents, teachers, and students packed the auditorium, eager to witness the culmination of months of hard work. As the lights dimmed and the screen flickered to life, Maya sat nervously in the front row, clutching Sarah's hand tightly. The opening scene featured Maya herself, recounting the day Jake and Riley pushed her wheelchair down the hallway. Her voice trembled slightly, but her words carried immense weight. By the time the credits rolled, the audience erupted into applause, many wiping away tears. The success of Now Voices Unheard sparked conversations far beyond the school community. Local news stations covered the event, praising the students for their courage and creativity. Inspired by the response, the committee decided to host screenings at other schools, spreading their message even further. Each showing ended with a Q&A session where Maya fielded questions from curious attendees. One question, posed by a middle schooler, stayed with her long after the event. "What do you do when you feel like giving up?" Maya smiled thoughtfully before answering. "There were times when I wanted to give up too, when the bullying felt unbearable or when I doubted whether my efforts mattered. But then I remembered something my dad once told me. You don't have to see the whole staircase to take the first step. Sometimes all it takes is one small action to keep moving forward." Her answer earned thunderous applause, cementing her status as a beacon of hope for countless young people. Yet Maya never lost sight of her roots. She continued, volunteering at community centers, organizing workshops, and mentoring children with disabilities. Her presence brought comfort to those who felt isolated, reminding them that they weren't alone in their struggles. Despite her growing influence, Maya encountered moments of self-doubt. Late one night, as she scrolled through social media, she stumbled upon a comment criticizing her work. "She's just seeking attention," the user wrote. "Why does she always have to make things about herself?" The words stung, planting seeds of insecurity in her mind. Was she really making a difference, or was she simply chasing validation? Sarah noticed Maya's quiet demeanor the next day and gently prodded her until she confessed what was bothering her. "People will always have opinions," Sarah said firmly. "But look at how many lives you've touched. That's proof enough that your work matters." Maya nodded slowly, realizing that focusing on negativity would only hold her back. Instead, she chose to channel her energy into planning her next big initiative, a mentorship program connecting high school students with elementary kids. Dubbed Buddy Builders. The program paired older students with younger ones, fostering relationships built on trust and understanding. Maya hoped it would create a ripple effect, teaching empathy and kindness from an early age. The launch of Buddy Builders coincided with National Bullying Prevention Month, adding significance to the occasion. Dozens of students signed up to participate, eager to make a difference. Maya personally oversaw the training sessions, emphasizing the importance of active listening, patience, and inclusivity. Watching high schoolers bond with wide-eyed fourth graders filled her with pride. "This is how we build a better future," she told the group during orientation. "One connection at a time." As the weeks passed, reports of bullying incidents at the school dropped significantly. Teachers attributed the decline to the combined efforts of the Anti-Bullying Committee, the documentary, and programs like Buddy Builders. Even Jake, who had continued volunteering sporadically, seemed genuinely committed to changing his ways. Though Maya remained cautious, she acknowledged his progress, offering encouragement whenever he faltered. Riley, however, remained elusive. Unlike Jake, he hadn't sought redemption or attempted to repair the damage he caused. Rumors circulated that he had transferred to another school, though no one knew for sure. Maya tried not to dwell on it, reminding herself that everyone moved at their own pace. "He'll come around when he's ready," she told herself. Until then, she focused on nurturing the positive changes happening around her. By November, Maya received news that she had won the statewide leadership award. The ceremony took place in the state capitol, drawing hundreds of attendees from across the region. Dressed in a bright blue dress, Maya wheeled onto the stage to accept her trophy, greeted by deafening applause. In her acceptance speech, she dedicated the award to everyone who had supported her journey, from her family and friends to the strangers who sent kind messages online. "This isn't just my victory," she declared, her voice steady and clear. "It belongs to anyone who has ever stood up against injustice, anyone who has refused to let fear silence them, and anyone who believes in the power of kindness. Together, we are stronger than any obstacle." Her words resonated deeply with the audience, earning her a standing ovation. Cameras flashed as reporters jostled to capture the moment, eager to share her story with the world. For Maya, however, the true reward lay in knowing that her message had reached so many hearts. Returning home, Maya reflected on how much had changed since the beginning of the year. From facing relentless bullies to inspiring thousands with her advocacy, her journey had been nothing short of extraordinary. Yet she knew the fight wasn't over. Bullying, discrimination, and inequality still existed in countless forms, requiring constant vigilance and effort. But Maya was ready. With each challenge she faced, she grew stronger, wiser, and more determined to create a world where everyone could thrive. As snowflakes began drifting lazily from the sky, signaling the approach of winter, Maya sat by her window, gazing at the quiet streets below. Her journal lay open on her lap, waiting to be filled with new thoughts and dreams. She picked up her pen and wrote a single sentence: "Every ending is a new beginning." With that belief guiding her, Maya looked ahead to the future, knowing that no matter what obstacles lay in her path, she would face them with courage and grace. Her story was far from over. It was only just beginning. Winter arrived with a crisp chill in the air, blanketing the town in layers of frost and occasional snowfall. For Maya, the season brought both reflection and renewal. As she navigated her daily routine, school, advocacy work, and personal projects, she found herself pausing more often to appreciate the little things: the warmth of her favorite sweater, the laughter of children building snowmen in the park, and the quiet moments spent journaling by candlelight. These simple joys reminded her why she continued to fight for a better world. A world where everyone could experience such moments without fear or judgment. By now, Maya had become a household name in her community. People recognized her not just as the girl who stood up to bullies, but as a leader, an artist, and a voice for change. Her blog posts regularly garnered thousands of views, and her poetry readings drew standing-room-only crowds at local cafes. Yet despite her growing influence, Maya remained grounded. She understood that true leadership wasn't about fame. It was about service. Every decision she made, every project she undertook, stemmed from a desire to uplift others. One of her most ambitious initiatives yet came to fruition during the holiday season, a charity drive called Gifts of Kindness. Inspired by her own experiences of feeling excluded, Maya envisioned a campaign to ensure no child felt left out during the holidays. Partnering with local businesses and organizations, she collected donations of toys, books, and winter clothing for families in need. Volunteers signed up in droves, eager to contribute. By Christmas Eve, hundreds of gifts had been distributed, bringing smiles to countless faces. On the day of the distribution event, Maya stood near the entrance of the community center, greeting families as they arrived. One mother approached hesitantly, clutching her young daughter's hand. "Thank you," she whispered, tears welling up in her eyes. "We wouldn't have been able to afford anything this year." Maya smiled warmly, bending down to meet the little girl's gaze. "This is for you," she said gently. "You deserve to feel special today, and every day." The girl beamed, hugging the wrapped present tightly against her chest. Moments like these reaffirmed Maya's belief in the power of collective action. Alone, she could only do so much, but together, they could move mountains. As the new year approached, Maya turned her attention to another passion project, a mural painting initiative aimed at transforming public spaces into vibrant canvases of hope and unity. Collaborating with local artists, she designed a series of murals depicting themes of resilience, diversity, and inclusion. Each piece told a story of overcoming adversity, embracing differences, and celebrating shared humanity. Maya invited students from her school to help paint sections of the murals, fostering a sense of ownership and pride in their community. The first mural went up on the side of a library frequented by many families, titled Wings of Courage. It featured a flock of birds soaring across a golden sky, symbolizing freedom and possibility. Beneath the artwork, Maya added a quote, "Your wings already exist. All you have to do is fly." Passers-by stopped to admire the vivid colors and thoughtful message, taking photos and sharing them online. The mural quickly became a landmark, drawing visitors from neighboring towns. While the mural project gained momentum, Maya also focused on expanding her mentorship program, Buddy Builders. The initiative had proven so successful that other schools in the district expressed interest in replicating it. With the help of teachers and administrators, Maya developed a toolkit outlining best practices, training modules, and evaluation metrics. By spring, over a dozen schools had implemented their own versions of the program, creating a network of support for students of all ages. Despite her busy schedule, Maya made time for self-care, a lesson she had learned the hard way. After burning out earlier in the year, she started practicing yoga, finding solace in its meditative movements. On weekends, she joined Sarah for long walks in the park, savoring the fresh air and companionship. These small acts of kindness toward herself allowed her to recharge and face each new challenge with renewed energy. In March, Maya received an invitation that took her breath away. A national organization dedicated to youth empowerment asked her to deliver the keynote address at their annual summit in New York City. This was an opportunity far greater than anything she had experienced before, a chance to speak to thousands of young leaders from across the country. Excited yet nervous, Maya accepted the offer and began preparing immediately. Her speech centered on three core principles: authenticity, empathy, and perseverance. Drawing from her own journey, she emphasized the importance of staying true to oneself, understanding others' perspectives, and persisting despite setbacks. Authenticity means embracing who you are, even when the world tries to tell you otherwise, she explained during rehearsals. Empathy means seeing beyond your own struggles and recognizing the pain in others. And perseverance means knowing that every step forward, no matter how small, brings you closer to your dreams. When the day of the summit arrived, Maya traveled to New York with her parents, marveling at the towering skyscrapers and bustling streets. Inside the conference hall, she felt a mix of excitement and nerves as she waited backstage. When her name was announced, she wheeled onto the stage, greeted by thunderous applause. As she began speaking, the room fell silent, captivated by her words. By the end of her speech, many attendees were on their feet, cheering wildly. Dozens lined up afterward to thank her, sharing stories of how her message resonated with them. The summit marked a turning point in Maya's life. Returning home, she felt invigorated, ready to take her advocacy work to the next level. She partnered with several organizations to launch a nationwide anti-bullying campaign, leveraging social media to reach millions of people. Hashtags like "Be the Change" and "Kindness Matters" trended online, sparking conversations about inclusivity and acceptance. Schools adopted her curriculum materials, embedding lessons on empathy and conflict resolution into their programs. But perhaps the most profound impact came from the personal connections Maya forged along the way. She corresponded regularly with students who reached out via email or social media, offering advice and encouragement. One teenager wrote to her about struggling with depression, saying, "Your story gave me hope when I thought there was none left." Another thanked her for inspiring him to start his own anti-bullying club at school. Each message reinforced Maya's belief that even the smallest acts of kindness could create ripples of change. As graduation loomed on the horizon, Maya reflected on her high school years with a mix of nostalgia and gratitude. From being targeted by bullies to becoming a catalyst for transformation, her journey had been nothing short of extraordinary, yet she knew this was only the beginning. College awaited her, promising new opportunities to grow, learn, and advocate for justice. On the day of her graduation ceremony, Maya delivered a heartfelt valedictorian speech, urging her classmates to use their talents for good. "We live in a world full of challenges," she said, her voice steady and clear. "But within those challenges lies our greatest potential: to heal, to unite, and to inspire. Let us carry this spirit forward, wherever life takes us." As she rolled off the stage, diploma in hand, Maya felt a deep sense of fulfillment. She had faced fear, overcome obstacles, and inspired countless others along the way. Her wheelchair, once a symbol of limitation, now represented boundless possibilities. Looking ahead, she envisioned a future filled with purpose and promise, future shaped by courage, compassion, and unwavering determination. And so, Maya's legacy continued to grow, touching lives far beyond her small town. Her story served as a beacon of hope for anyone facing adversity, proving that strength isn't measured by physical ability, but by the resilience of the human spirit. Through art, advocacy, and sheer willpower, she transformed pain into power, leaving an indelible mark on the world. As she embarked on the next chapter of her journey, one thing was certain: Maya would never stop fighting for a kinder, more inclusive tomorrow, for herself, for others, and for generations to come.